I just kind of want to quickly share a gospel passage. You guys have all, I mean, if you've ever heard of the Bible itself, you've heard of this passage. There's no way you have never heard this passage. It's the passage of when Jesus washes the disciples' feet at the Last Supper, and it kind of really dictates who we are as people of service, who we are as people who are going to be going out in service, who we are as servants of God. Anyway, let me just share this with you. He rose from the supper and took off his outer garments. He took a towel and tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with the towel around his waist. It continues on. So when he had finished washing their feet, he put back on his garments and reclined at the table again. He said to them, "Do you realize what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightfully so, for indeed I am. If I therefore, your teacher and master, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do." Now, important background about this passage. If you could imagine, put yourself in Jerusalem. It's much warmer than 20 degrees. It's actually hot. It's a desert. Everything is sand. Everything is dust. And you walk around in Jesus' day in sandals all day long, in and out of the cities. And you walk into someone else's house, and your feet are muddy. Your feet are gross because you've been walking around in the dust and the dirt all day long. So it was the job of literally the lowliest servants, the same guys that would be pouring slop in the pig's pen, would be the people on their knees, hands and knees, washing your feet as you came into the house. And this was their job. And Jesus, it's important to realize that in the context, in the historical context of this, Jesus is taking the place of this lowliest servant. The servant that would typically be feeding the pigs, feeding the livestock, taking the place of that lowliest servant, complete humility in what he was doing by washing these people's feet. And he says to us, "I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do." And I'm not saying that, in the very strict literal sense of go out and, feed the pigs and wash people's feet, because, bring it to the correct historical context, bring it to our day. Become that humble servant. In serving people, you're going to come across instances where it's going to take the wiping away of your pride. It's going to take that humility. It's going to take that humility. He kind of goes on to explain this, and he finishes with this. He says, "Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me." So there's that chain kind of there. He sent us all. We are all called to be servants for Him. We are in whatever way. In whatever way. It could be our daily lives and what we do. It could be, our jobs, whatever we decide that our jobs are in our lives. It might not be direct service. You might not be a missionary in some foreign country. You might be a guy on Wall Street. But whatever you are, we're called to service in that. And we're called to bring Jesus into our lives in that way. And he says, "Whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me." So in a sense, he's saying, if someone is receiving you as a servant, if someone is receiving you as a humble servant, and is receiving something from you as a humble servant, then they're receiving God. And that's really our charge in this. Really our charge is becoming that humble servant that Jesus talks about, Jesus portrays and Jesus models for us, is then just bringing God into this. So I think, and that's where the transformation happens. It's not going to be. I think that's really where the life-changing transformation stuff is going to happen, is when you allow God to move in this. I know you guys. I've been on plunges before. I've been on experiences like this before. You're sitting here, maybe with lots of expectations, maybe with no expectations, but just let it happen. Just let it happen, and enter it with humility, enter it with understanding, enter it with an open heart. And really what's going to happen, if you do that, you're going to be able to do what Louise talks about here. You're going to be able to serve with confidence. You're going to be able to serve with gentleness, compassion, and generosity. And that's ultimately the goal here. It's ultimately the goal. And that's, I mean, not, you know, it's what Jesus taught us to do. It's what Jesus modeled us to do. And in the spirit of what Jesus taught us to do is what St. Vincent and St. Louise did. And it's our charge to kind of continue that. So, good luck. I hope this is kind of what you were wanted.
Definitely.
Anyway, you guys, I hope you really enjoy your week and hear good things.